if I buy solar panels for my home, do they add value to my home? We're going to shed some light on solar panels right now.
We're coming at you with some information about solar panels. So this is kind of a hot topic. This kind of thing right now is all the rage. It's not new technology, but it's definitely can be a benefit. It could also be a curse. So we want to be able to help you sift through the information to help you make an educated decision as to move forward or not to move forward with something like this. So we are Rico and Courtney Gonzalez. We're realtors, Mr. and Mrs. 757. And hopefully this information is going to benefit you today.
So off the bat, let me just say that Courtney and I, we do have solar panels ourselves. We invested in these things maybe about 2 years ago. I think about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And I love them. I'm actually getting paid to have them. But we also have clients that come to us and ask us about them and how it pertains to real estate as far as investment opportunities, return on investment, and resale, which is the main reason why we're putting this together.
Right. Absolutely. Because I feel like there's just some things that people just don't know what you don't know. So hopefully we can help you out with that because they're not for everybody. And I repeat, solar panels are not for everybody. So we're going to share with you some pros and cons. When Rico and I were discussing getting solar panels on our personal home, there was a lot to consider. And Rico was definitely team solar panels and I was team no. So he obviously won that battle. When the sales guy came, the bromance was thick and I was not going to win this one. But we'll share with you a little bit about some of the pros. Why did Rico get so jazzed about it? And why do people in general get so jazzed about the whole idea? And then I'm going to share with you my perspective on all of the reasons why I was like, no, no, no. So Rico, if you want to hit us up, tell us what or some of the things that that you appreciated about the whole solar panel thing.
Yeah. So as far as saving the environment and all that junk, I didn't care about that. I mean, that may be a reason why some people want solar panels. I wanted a way to reduce our bills. I was looking for a way to reduce the bills in our house so that we have more income for ourselves. Our electricity bills without solar panels in this house would be $250 plus. And when I tell that to people are like, "You're crazy. It should be more than that." I don't know what it is, but 250 was like
that's a higher, right? Would you consider those to be the higher electricity usage months? 250
in this house, yeah. About 250 was like the highest I've had. I usually budget like 150, and sometimes in the spring and in the fall where there's like $90 a month because it's just me and you.
Right. But we have a 2,000 square feet home in Virginia Beach, 4 bedrooms. So it's not a gigantic house, but it's not teeny tiny either. Right. I feel like our old house that was 1,400 square feet, we needed more electricity. Our electricity bills were higher there. Maybe it's because of the insulation. Maybe it's because we have some gas components. I don't know. But 250 was what we were paying for electricity on average.
Yeah. So I wanted to reduce that. And this guy was door knocking in my neighborhood. Turns out I knew this dude from years back. And, you know, Courtney's like bromance. Anyways, he was a cool guy. And he kind of explained it to me how I can purchase these things and have really little to zero electricity bill, but you'd still have a solar panel payment because we're financing them. That would still be below the electricity bill. I was like, okay, that makes sense. I can save this much a month. And there's programs where you can actually produce the power and sell these as certificates and make money off it. So, and I'm all about making money, whatever it is. And it made sense for us because I saw us as staying here. This is probably most likely our forever home. And it was the right decision. I didn't want to keep paying $250 a month, and every month the electricity bill, excuse me, every year the electricity increases. I think like 4% a year. And that year that the next year, he was already telling me they're planning already. They announced it 8% is what they're going to increase it this year. So my $250 payment was going to be even using the same amount of electricity was going to be the same. It's going to be even more the following year. But I could finance these panels. I could get a lower payment and make some money through it, which will probably offset everything. And that's why we did it. The whole process took about maybe a couple months because there was a whole process to it. But that's the reason why I was gung-ho. It wasn't because of the bromance or anything like that. Yeah, man, I'll say yes to whatever you say. It wasn't anything like that. It made sense for us. And it was difficult because the package we purchased was like 30 grand, right?
Right.
When you hear 30 grand, you're like, man, I ain't paying 30 grand. Screw that. But if I'm paying $250 a month for electricity, how you pay 30 grand within 10 years, you know?
Right. So we traded, now our electricity bill is basically $0 on average. Every once in a while we have like $10, $15.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nothing. So, and we're making so much energy that we're selling it on the market for our excess energy for credits, which is awesome.
But average is about $60 every 2 months. We get $60 every 2 months. So 6 times 6, that's $360 a year, pretty much is what I make off these panels. And I pay, how much do I pay? $12 a month, $100 a year?
Yeah, mostly zero. So we traded the $0 electricity bill for $110 solar panel bill.
True.
So it's still, we're making out, in our opinion, like bandits because we're paying less money. When I heard the salesman say $30K to put these panels on my roof, I was like, oh no, $30,000, the return on investment, we won't see that right away. But we did feel it in our monthly bills, you know what I mean? Because now it's been reduced. So there was a huge pro. But if we're not going to live here for more than 10 years, I don't think the return on investment would be worth it. If we're not going to live here forever, then those solar panels and $30K to put down on these panels is a lot of money. So that's one of the things that people have to consider, you know, the pros and the cons. And everybody thinks differently. Like me, I heard $30K and I was like, Rico heard, oh, I'm going to save X amount of dollars a month. Yes. You know what I mean? So it's like, you do have to weigh out those things.
Right. So it's just, like you said, it's the way you think about it. I mean, if it took 10 years to get my return on investment back, you know, if you purchased it outright and pay not pay the electricity bill, you get your $30,000 back in about 10 years. But you think about it this way, if you invested $30,000 into the stock market at a 10% rate of return, that'll take 10 years to make 30 G's too. So it's really all about how you think about things. But if you put that $30,000 in real estate, I can show you how to make more money.
All right, we'll save that for another day.
Okay.
So what I do want to point out is that these solar panels, the salesman got caution, okay? Caution. The salespeople will tell you what you want to hear. And that's, you know, no diss to any of them in particular, because we have a couple of friends that sell solar panels. But the real deal is they have a job, and that job is to sell you these panels. So they're going to tell you and woo you and bromance you, right, Rico, into all the things that you want to hear.
So
but one of the things,
go ahead, my bad. Sorry.
One of the things the man told us, and while in my kitchen, was that this is going to add value to your property. That is a giant myth. In Hampton Roads, there is not one city that is considering solar panels as a value add. Now, it can add desirability for some and
that's the value
undesirability
just
for
the
others.
Desirability, yeah. As far as adding value into the price of the property, it does zero for that.
Right. And in fact, if you plan to sell your home anytime soon, this could affect your resale in a major way. And this is how. So if you have a $30,000 bill that's connected to your house, you have to pay that off when you go to sell. Now, the salesman in my kitchen told me that, oh, you can just transfer that bill over to the next seller and owner, which is true. That man did not.
Hey, what's going on? I hope you like what you're listening to. Can you do me a favor? If we're providing value for you, go ahead and hit like, subscribe, or follow in whatever platform that you're listening or hearing this on, and we'll create more content for you. Back to the regular scheduled program.
Not lie, but what that man doesn't realize is it now wipes out half of your buyer pool, because the average buyer isn't coming into a property and then taking on an additional bill. No matter how you spin it, it's still an additional bill. And now the lenders have to consider that as debt to income as part of their purchase. And sometimes, many times, we've seen where now the buyer doesn't qualify for that amount of house because there's an additional bill that's connected to it, which takes them out of their debt to income ratios. So it can affect your house, your resale, because it's like a pool. It's nice to have, but not everybody wants one. So it can affect your desirability in some instances. It's not going to add value. And like, I've seen a couple of these townhomes that have put these solar panels on. If you just spent $30,000 in solar panels and your house values don't appreciate as much as a single family home, I hope you're planning to stay there for a very long time, because your return on investment is not going to be there if you plan to sell within the first 5 years. And many people do. So that is definitely something to consider. It's going to have to come out of your net proceeds. And if you don't have enough net proceeds, that means you have to come out of your pocket at closing and pay off the bill. That's like danger zone for some people. So we want to make sure that you feel educated about this whole thing, because Rico and I think it's fabulous to have these solar panels. It's been a total benefit to us in our personal home, but we ain't going nowhere.
Yeah, so we feel like this is the place to stay. Let me clarify that this is only if you're financing these solar panels. If you buy them outright, however much they cost now, 30 to 60,000, you don't got to worry about anything Courtney's talking about. Okay,
that is correct.
But if you're financing it, like most people do, you're going to run into these challenges. And to be honest with you, in my opinion, everybody has their own opinion. It's a little bit more difficult to get your house sold if you have unpaid solar panels on it. Just
Absolutely.
Let me know from everything that Courtney said.
Yes. And another thing to consider, folks, when you're talking about possibly putting solar panels on your property, when Rico and I were having the battle, do we or don't we? I was like, well, as long as they can put them on the back of the house, because I think they're ugly and I don't want to look at them every day. Well, guess where they are? They're in the front yard. I pull up to my house every day and I see a zillion panels on my garage, on my house. And the reason for that is because you don't get to aesthetically choose where they go. The sun determines where they go. And if your roof is older, they're going to have to do some types of inspections to make sure that your house is sturdy and all that stuff structurally inside your trusses in the attic, because they're going to nail them things to the trusses. And they're going to make sure that your roof can support this, that it's in good condition. If it's not, you're going to have to replace your roof. And then if you have any tree limbs or tree branches that are preventing sun from coming onto these panels, they're going to have to remove those and get them out of the way. So we've seen people have to remove a whole yard full of trees before they could put the panels up. That's somebody in our neighborhood recently had to do that. So, and that can be very expensive. So there's just some things to consider as well. Is it worth it? So if it's worth it, go for it. If it's not worth it to you, then don't.
Especially if you're planning on moving or thinking about moving in the next year or two, it might not be worth it, and if you're financed them, that's $30,000 or however much it costs off your net proceeds of the sale of your home. Unless you could get the buyer to transfer it, to take it, if they could still qualify. Plus, we've heard stories of, they qualify for it through the lender, but the actual company won't let them qualify. It was just all, just scary.
Yeah. The easiest
an
way to do
extra
it is have
hurdle.
them taken care of at closing by the seller. That's the
Yeah,
best
for
and
sure.
easiest way, which, if you stand to make, let's say 50K off the sale of your home, and now you got to pay off these solar panels too.
You're only making
Now
20,000.
for us, they're 30K. So now you're only making $20,000. So, I mean,
Yeah.
it's definitely, it eats into your equity. It doesn't add value. It will eat into your equity if you're financing them.
If you're financing. Yep.
Right. All right. So, just a few extra talking points. There is all sorts of type of advertisements by different companies that are promising that the government will pay for them, and you don't even need any money, and we won't charge you for the first year or two. I would say caution, caution, caution. Use a company that's reputable, because there are so many, and that was one of my like arguments when Rico was talking about getting solar panels, is I don't want a fly by night company that's just going to come put them up there and promise us the moon and the stars and then be out of business in 5 seconds, because that happens all the time. So choosing a company that has good reviews, talk to somebody that you know who may have had panels put on their home, see what experiences, positive or negative, they have had before you just sign off on anything. I personally have not seen anybody being able to take advantage of anything free. We have not. We did get a tax deduction at taxes, which we did take advantage of, but we got to pay, and I think everybody else has to pay too. So, anyways, nice try on all that.
Mm-hmm.
One other thing I was like super concerned about when we were having these discussions was I've seen solar panels age and they don't look pretty. And that was like my big thing. It's like, what if this technology is like obsolete in 10 years when we finally get our return on investment? Then what? All these things. Thankfully, we went with a company that did offer us a lifetime warranty. So if we did have to replace the roof, they would come back, take the panels off and put them back on. They did offer us, the moon and the stars, and we have the paperwork to go with that. So hopefully they don't go out of business and everything's okay.
That's right, babe. Well, it's just like anything else. Any company could go out of business at any time. So there's some risk factors that you got to assess there.
Correct. There's so many what ifs, so many. And, you just really, like Rico said, have to evaluate those risk factors and decide what you want to do or don't want to do. I can say for us personally, it's been great having these $0 payments for your electric bill, and then being able to sell the excess is fabulous. But I think the bottom line, or what we want to project or get across here, is they're really best for your forever home. So this is not your forever home. Pay your electricity bill and move on with your life when it's that time, because it can definitely cause you some problems. We've been successful selling homes with panels on top, which thankfully for that, but there's also been many roadblocks that have come up because of any type of liens that people might put on their home. And unfortunately, a solar panel bill is a lien on your home. It has to be paid or transferred.
That's right. That's right. So I agree with you 100%. I think those are the questions that people ask us. So we want to address it here on the podcast.
Yep. So we hope this was helpful and help you mudding over, whether we should or shouldn't, and kind of get a real life perspective from our world as to what is true, what is false. And if you have any questions, you can hit us up anytime with our contact information below.
Awesome. Have a good one.
Bye, guys.